Right. Everything you actually need to know about AI in under 10 minutes, explained by a cat because I couldn't think of a good reason not to. 2 halves. First, how the thing actually works, properly but quickly. Then the bit almost nobody covers, what it's genuinely worth using for. No jargon that doesn't get explained, no hype, and no pretending it's magic because the truth is considerably funnier than that. This is AI Oblivious, where I work these things out roughly 3 years after everyone else. Subscribing is free and requires no skill whatsoever. Part 1. How it works. Here it is, the entire thing, and it's smaller than you'd expect. An AI predicts the next word. That's it. That's the whole trick. Everything else is done extremely fast over and over. You type a question, it works out the most likely next word. Then it adds that word and works out the next one. Then again, and again. A whole paragraph isn't one answer. It's hundreds of tiny guesses in a row, each one made with everything that came before it. Which sounds like it shouldn't work at all, and honestly, it's still a bit surprising that it does. But think about what predicting well actually requires. To guess the next word in a recipe, you need to know how recipes go. To guess the next word in an argument, you need to follow the argument. So getting very good at guessing the next word drags in an enormous amount of everything else, almost by accident. Nobody sat down and taught it how a complaint letter is structured, or what a polite refusal sounds like. It picked those up because you can't predict well without them. So where does it get the guesses from? It read an enormous amount of text, books, websites, arguments, recipes, manuals, the lot. And it played one game trillions of times, cover the next word, guess it, and get nudged whenever it's wrong. Nudge, check. Nudge again. Nobody wrote rules about grammar or meaning. It worked those out because guessing well requires them. Which leads to the single most useful thing to understand about AI. It doesn't know things, it has patterns. A pattern is brilliant for language, structure, and how things usually go. It's much shakier on specific facts, because a fact is not a pattern. Here's the difference in one line. How do complaint letters usually go is a pattern. What date did my counsel send that letter is a fact. It's superb at the first and unreliable at the second, and it sounds exactly as confident either way. Which is not a flaw so much as a shape. A thing built entirely out of patterns is going to be good at patterns. And that one idea explains almost every odd thing AI does. Why it writes beautifully but invents a date. Why it's confident when it's wrong. Why it's better with your document in front of it than from memory. Reading is a pattern job, remembering isn't. It also explains why the same question can give you 2 different answers. There's a bit of deliberate randomness in the guessing, so it doesn't say the identical thing every time. That's a feature, oddly. Without it, every answer would be the same flat, obvious one. Right, that's how it works. Most of what anyone needs to know in about 3 minutes. Part 2 is the useful bit. Part 2. What it's actually for. Here's the reframe that made AI properly useful to me. Stop thinking of it as something that knows things. Start thinking of it as something that works with what you give it. Give it your messy notes and ask for a plan. Give it the letter you've been avoiding and ask for a first draft. Give it the thing you don't understand and ask for it in plain English. It's not retrieving anything in any of those, it's shaping. And shaping is what it's extraordinary at. Which is why the people getting the most out of AI aren't asking it clever questions. They're handing it context and asking for something ordinary. And this is the bit that took me embarrassingly long to work out. I spent months treating it like a search engine and being disappointed. It's not a search engine, it's closer to a very fast, very patient assistant who has read everything and remembers nothing specific. So, concretely, things worth trying this week, none of which require you to be technical. 1. The thing you keep putting off. The complaint, the appeal, the awkward email you've rewritten 4 times. Give it the details and ask for a first draft. It will be slightly too formal and slightly too long, but a draft you're editing is a completely different job from a blank page. 2. The thing you don't understand. A letter from the council, a contract, a form with 60 questions and no explanation. Paste it in and ask what it actually means and what it wants you to do. This is reading, not remembering, which is exactly where it's strongest. 3. the decision with too many moving parts. Ask it to lay out the trade-offs. Not to decide, to lay them out. Half the difficulty in a decision is holding all of it in your head at once, and that's a shaping job. 4. The week. Meals, the shopping list, who needs to be where and when. Give it the constraints, the fussy eater, the too late finishes, the 12 pounds. Turning a pile of constraints into a plan is one of the things it's quietly excellent at. 5. The thing you want to learn. Ask it to explain something at the level you're actually at, not the level a textbook assumes. Then ask it to check whether you've understood by making you explain it back. That's a tutor, and it's endlessly patient, which most tutors aren't. Quick word on how to ask, because this is where most people quietly give up. First, say who it's for and what it's for. Write a complaint. Gets you a generic complaint. Write a complaint to my landlord about a broken boiler. Firm but not rude. I've asked twice already. Gets you something usable. Second, give it the actual thing. Paste the letter. Attach the document. Don't describe it and hope. Third, tell it what's wrong with the answer and ask again. It's not a vending machine. The second attempt is nearly always better than the first. That's genuinely it. No magic words, no secret prompt, nothing you need to buy. Equally, some things to not bother with. Don't use it as a search engine for facts it might have to invent. Don't trust it with maths that matters, and don't ask it for anything where being wrong is expensive, legal, medical, financial. Get a human. And don't hand it something you couldn't check. If you wouldn't be able to spot a wrong answer, that's exactly when a wrong answer costs you. One more which nobody mentions enough. Think before you paste in anything private, other people's medical details, bank details, someone else's address. Most services keep what you send, and some use it for training. A good habit. If you'd hesitate to email it to a stranger, don't paste it in. The rule underneath all of that, it's brilliant when you can check its work, and risky when you can't. One practical thing before the end, because people assume otherwise. Everything in Part 2 you can do on a free account. The paid tiers mostly buy you speed, longer documents, and higher limits. They don't buy you a cleverer answer to help me write this letter. So there's no reason to pay anything until you've hit a wall you can actually feel. Most people never do. So, it predicts the next word, it learned by guessing, it has patterns rather than knowledge, and it's at its best when you hand it something rather than quiz it. That's genuinely most of it. Everything else is detail. You don't need to understand the maths, and you don't need a course. You need to know it's a pattern machine, and to hand it enough to work with. And if a cat can explain it in under 10 minutes, you're allowed to stop feeling behind. If you want the proper version of any of that, the rest of the channel goes one layer down, starting with what actually happens when you type a prompt.